Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is John Carter. I'm CEO of Noah Basketball. We're excited to share with you today a little bit about using the game app. Those of you that are fortunate enough to have Noah installed in your competition gym will enjoy a great advantage this year, being able to track all of your shots, and we'll walk you through that here on this webinar. So what I'm going to first do is talk through kind of the infrastructure, the couple things that need to be set up on your end for this to work successfully, and then we'll actually go into a demonstration of actually how to use it. We've got Michael at a gym that'll be shooting some shots, so we can give you an actual live demonstration. First off, for the data to flow to the iPad app in the game mode, whoever is logged into the app must be an administrator of the facility and must be an administrator of the team. And you guys know you don't want anybody walking in your gym and being able to connect and grab data. So only people that have administrative access. Currently, we have to take care of that for you. And so most of you already have that, but I'm just giving you a heads up in case you don't have. If you're not certain if you have administrative access, you'll get to your first game and the data won't flow to your device for that reason. So if you're not certain on that, give us a call and we'll make sure that's set up and ready for you. The other thing that you have to have configured before your first game is you have to have your team built. For example, you can see my screen now. This is a Noahlytics screen that you guys are familiar with. And if I go into Edit Teams and Rosters, and you can see I've got a bunch of teams in here, but you guys might just have one team. And so the way it's structured, for example, I've got Noah Basketball as my team. That might be Athens High School. And then underneath that, I might have 4 or 5 rosters. I might have the JV team, the varsity girls, varsity boys, etc. And so, for example, if I click on this team, here's all the players that I have on this team. And this is primarily our staff and kind of a dummy team. But I wanted to show you, so to create a team is very simple. Obviously, add new team. You type in the team name. The same way on adding a new roster. To invite a player to your team, I want to show you that. I'm not going into great detail here, but if I want to invite a player, I literally do that, and I just type their name. I'm going to pull up Michael Carter, and if I click on Michael, he's got several email addresses as we've done this, but if I click invite, Michael will get a text message to his cell phone that will tell him, hey, John Carter has asked you to join his team, 2016-2017 test team. And he can accept that, and he'll be on the team immediately. Now, if your guys, when they register, and I think most everyone is familiar with that, and if they don't put in a cell phone number, then obviously that text won't work, and they'll have to check their email. But call us if you have issues with that. There's some things we can do to help push that through. But that's how it works. Again, most everyone on this call has already built their teams, those type things. But just want to make sure you understand you got to have your team set up. Okay, so that's all I'll do there. Feel free to reach out to your sales rep or just call the Noah number that's on our website, noahbasketball.com, and we'll get someone to help you and walk you through building your team if you're new to that process. All right, perfect. What I'm going to do now is pull up so this is my iPad that's on the screen here. Very similar looking to the app. It is iPad only at this point. So if you have an Android device, we don't have an app available for that at this point. And I say iPad only, it will work just fine with an iPhone. But honestly, we found with that smaller screen, the larger iPhone does better. But with that screen, it's a little difficult to navigate and keep up with. But it certainly works really well with any size iPad, from the small one to the large one. So what I'm going to do, I'm logged in, as you can tell. I'm going to go up here to the top corner, and this is an area that you guys may have not even explored on the app yet. But if I go here, I can go down and I can launch a game or a scrimmage. And so it's going to ask me here on the very first screen, am I doing a game or a scrimmage? And I'll show you why that's important. I'm going to flip back to the Noahlytics site here real quick. This is something new that you guys haven't seen, I'm sure, because we just put it up this week and it doesn't really stand out. But if you see here, on the Noahlytics side, on the right side here, I've got game. Right now, I'm looking at everything. If I only want to look at scrimmages, it's going to just pull up strictly the scrimmage sessions. And you can see these are a bunch of test sessions. Or I can say, hey, I just want to look at the game sessions. And we'll go through how you can look through those games here in a second. But I want you to understand that. So make sure that whoever's running that for you actually makes the right selection. So I'm going to do a new game. And of course, that's going to populate there as a game. And then it's going to ask me to enter a session name. So I'm going to quickly type webinar test and then click select location. And so the facility, and again, this is where I have to be an administrator of that facility. If I'm not an administrator, nothing's going to pop up in the drop-down box. And I'm an administrator on several that I've done some testing with. And so I'm just going to go up here and select this particular location, John Carter. This is actually our Noah warehouse. It only has one hoop. Most of you have two hoops, so it will automatically, it'll come up and you can click that and select the second basket. I don't have a second basket. That's the reason nothing comes up there. So then I'm going to select a facility. I'm sorry, select let me go back. And select my teams. Now this is where, for example, your team, the home team I'm going to use is going to be this Noah basketball team. And this second team, in your case, most of the time now, you are, for example, if you're doing a scrimmage, you can select that same team again, which allows you to swap players from, red to white, black to white, whatever your colors are. But you can do that. What I'm going to do here is show you how to create a second team. So say you're playing, another team across town, and so you need to create a team for that one. So I'm going to go in here, and if you scroll down to the bottom, I get the option to add a new team. And so I'm going to type in here. I'm just going to do visiting team. And just click add team. And now I have, and then I'm going to do a new roster on that team, because again, that could be a JV, varsity, or whatever for that particular team. I'm just going to do varsity boys real quick. And then I'm going to add a player. And it gives you the option to search. Where this is handy is say this is a team that you played last year. That player will already be in your database, and you can just search them. You can just type in their name. Obviously, they're not going to be here right now. So if I click add a new player, I'm going to type in John Carter, and my number is 14. Now, I'll tell you right now, we're making some changes, and we'll actually have that up in the store in the next couple of days. We're changing it. We're on the visiting team. The only thing you have to put in is a number. Okay, so I know if you got a manager or someone that's doing this, you're not going to want to have, they're not going to know the names of the team. So, but right now you have to put that in there, unfortunately, but that is something we're correcting right now. We just realized this was not in there. It's something we corrected in the summer. So when I add that player, so now I've got a player in there named John Carter. I'm going to add one more real quick. I'll add, I don't want to search, I just want to add one. I'm going to do Rick. And we'll call him number 12. And so you do that real quickly at the start of a game. And so now I've got a roster for this opposing team with only 2 players. Obviously, you would put everyone in there. So I'm going to click done. And so I'm going to click this visiting team. And so now I've got the Noah basketball team versus the varsity boys visiting team. And now I'm ready to start a game. So so one thing that you'll notice, as soon as you click start game, it's in the mode of collecting shots. So you don't really want to click start game unless there's a delay in the action. For example, I wouldn't start the game if there's a bunch of shots going up. So, but I can click start game. And then what I do is I immediately pause listening for shots. So now they can warm up, they can do whatever they want to do. no shots are going to come in to the system. So what you see now, I've got Noah basketball, I've got visiting team, listening is paused. So what that means, it's not listening for shots right now. Players can shoot, do whatever they want to do, nothing's going to come in. Now, so they're ready to tip, and so now I'm going to hit, I'm going to launch it. Listening is it's ready for shots. And Michael, if you will, go ahead and step up and shoot a free throw for us so we can demonstrate that. So he's going to walk up and shoot a free throw. And all right, and there it comes. So it looks like he missed it. So you can see it gives you a couple of screens here. So this is the queue. And so if it comes up and you've got the wrong roster here, so this is the home team, I can click switch and it pulls in the other roster. And then it'll maintain that setup for that hoop for the rest of the half until you switch hoops. So it's a real handy feature. You can switch back and forth, and it'll remember that until you change periods or switch again. So a very simple thing to do that's quick. So it comes up there. You can see the little information here. It's 44 degrees. It was 20 inches deep, 2 inches to the right. It was a miss. You can override it. Let's say, for example, it's really rare that we misclassify a shot. Let's say it's incorrect. I can change that and go right here and say, hey, that was a make. And so you can make the correction there. So I'm going to assign this. I don't even have Michael. Yeah, there he is. So I'm going to assign this shot to Michael. And I just click Save Shot. And then a screen is going to come up here. And so what it is, since he shot that ball from the free throw line, it's going to come up and ask you, hey, was that really a free throw? Because it could have been a free throw jump shot. So it's just a little reminder, to make sure it gets marked as a free throw, which will make your box score accurate. So I'm just going to click Save as Free Throw. And now that shot is saved as a free throw. So wander off to the, maybe just outside the left elbow, Michael, and go ahead and shoot us one from there. And you'll see that one pop up. And this is all, by the way, the one thing I didn't mention is you don't have to be connected to the Noah system. You just have to be connected to the internet. I'm at our office, which is 10 miles from, or 6 or 7 miles from our warehouse where Michael is shooting. Everything is flowing through the cloud. Okay. So you see this last shot where we are there. I'm just going to assign that one to, Corbin's name, and just save shot. Real simple. See, I didn't get the message that time because it wasn't near the free throw line, so there's no reminder to say, hey, was that a free throw or not? So what I want you to do now, Michael, is go ahead and take a couple of shots, maybe from the right elbow, maybe somewhere in between. And I'm going to shoot 3 or 4 shots, actually. Unless what I want to show you is how it will queue up the shots as he's shooting. So so he shot one over here that made, then one over here is missed. Give us one more. And so now there's 3 shots here. So what happens is, if you are, say you're trying to tag the previous shot, and maybe there's a quick rebound. Our experience, we did, probably 100+ basketball games this summer at the NBA Summer League where we tagged all of their shots, and using this same app. That's how we really worked out the bugs of this thing. And what we would do is, if there was a offensive rebound, we just wouldn't look down. We would just remember, hey, that first shot was by Michael, the second shot was by Rick. And so I'm going to go here. So, for example, this one's already selected. Or I could do it this way. I could go out here and say, hey, that shot was shot by Michael Marks. Save that one. And it's going to ask me that one's fairly close. So, no, that wasn't a free throw. And that's going to save that. Then I'm going to go to this one and say, well, I know this shot was shot by Turk, and save it. And then same thing for this last one. So you can queue them up a little bit. Some people actually might get a notepad to kind of keep things. I've found you typically can keep it running in your head okay without any problem, but it will queue them up across here for you. Also, let's say you made a mistake. You say, boy, I know I tapped Michael's name, but that shot really should have been assigned to Rick. So I can click over here where this Save Shots button is, and it'll actually pull up the shots that we just tagged. And so if I say, hey, that shot right there really should have been, Michael Carter. I did Michael Marks instead of Michael Carter. I can click that, and then I can go in and change that to Michael Carter and save it. Boom, no harm, no foul. Everything's good. Okay, so that's a real handy feature that we've added to the app recently. What I want you to do now, Michael, is shoot us one that's a little bit inside the three-point line, maybe a foot or so inside the three-point line. And I want to show you how we can actually adjust the shot. So this one shows up as a two-pointer, okay? And you can see here, it's just right inside the three-point line. But a lot of players jump forward when they shoot. Some players, just do different things. And so it's, we don't know at the time of the shot who shot it and their height. So we have to make a real close estimation. So if I want to move this one, so let's say I want to adjust this shot. Hey, it's showing up as a two-pointer. This was clearly a three. So I can click this adjust position here. And all I have to do is come down here on the iPad screen and just tap there. And you can see how that moved out and that changed to a three. Okay, and you can see here I can move it. Say I didn't like it, I can tap it again. And it'll move it again until I get it exactly where I want it. Okay, and so actually I moved it up a little bit too close. So now I'm back there as a three, and I'm all set. I click Save Shot, and again, okay, I didn't select a player, so it's warning me I need to select a player. Save Shot, all set. Okay, so everything is tagged. We're good to go. The next thing I want to show you is how to add a manual shot. We spent a lot of time refining the engine, especially during the summer. At the high school level, it's really rare that you will see us not catch a shot. If you're fortunate enough that you've got a bunch of guys dunking on your team, we do miss a lot of dunks. It's just the ball travels through there so quickly, it's just really difficult for us to get those. And so a lot of those and some layups will have to be added manually. So let's say a shot's taken, nothing shows up here within the second or two like it should. I click Add Shot, and it gives me the opportunity to add a shot. So let's say it's a shot, say it's a little shot from the right block here. All I've got to do is just tap that area, and you can see the bubble come up there, and I'm going to say, hey, it was a make. So I click Make, or if it was a free throw, I would tap that, but I'm not going to tap that, and I click the player's name, and click Save. And now that shot is a part of your game. So you're all set there. So it's pretty simple to do, but I'll add another one just to look at that, and we're going to go. So I'm going to add a three on this one, a long three. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to say this one's a free throw, and so you can see how you just click that. It says, okay, it's a free throw. It was a miss, and if you miss any of these things when you get ready to save it, it's going to warn you. And so Save Shot. So that shot is added. And what you'll find is, once you're, whether it's a manager or a parent or whomever, the first game, you're going to have a few mistakes. The second game, you'll have very, very few mistakes, just two or three maybe. But when you get to the third game, they will be really, really efficient at this. It's just not very difficult to manage and to do. So I think that's all we need to go through there. So the other thing I want to hit here next, so that's how you tag shots. So let's say you get to the end of a period. I'll tell you what, Michael, shoot me one more from anywhere. There's one other thing I forgot to mention. So just from anywhere. And what I want to show you is how you can dismiss a shot. One thing that happens, and just so you guys know, and you guys are mainly your coaches on here, there might be a few parents that have made their way on. If a player shoots a shot and they were fouled and they miss, that shot does not count in the box score. Also, you'll see a whistle was blown many times, and the player will just, they'll just throw up a shot anyway, just for the heck of it. And so that's what this is for at the bottom. So when I click Dismiss, and it'll actually come up and give you warnings. Hey, you sure you really want to do that? And I click Dismiss, that shot's gone forever. So it never makes it to our cloud. It's not a part of your box score. So that's a really important thing to understand there. So the next thing, so let's say, for example, that these are the type things that it's easy to forget that I want to point out. And once you do this a couple times or make a mistake, then you tend to remember it. But if you go in and say, hey, I want to go to the next period. It's just that simple. So into the, if we're talking about high school, we're talking about 4 quarters most of the time. If I go to next period, now I'm at the second period. And so now all the shots that come in will be labeled as a part of the second period. Okay, so it's just a simple way to do that. And then when you're through, so and also this is where you switch. So let's say it's halftime. You click the button, and you'll see those teams switch to the other end. But again, if you forget and the first shot comes in, like we discussed earlier, you can switch it right there on the spot. So, no big foul there if you forget there. So let's say now we're through with the game. I'm going to click end session, and it's going to say, hey, are you really sure about that? And you end the session, and that's it. You're out. And so also, I'm going to pull the website back up, and there's the test webinar that we just did. It's already in the cloud. This is all live. It's in the, whether you can do this from the app. I'm going to do it from the computer screen. So if I click here, it's going to generate, here's our game. Obviously, we've only got a handful of shots here that he shot around this area. So here's all the shots for all players. If I want to look at it for an individual player, I can just go and select that player. There's the shots that I was just kind of randomly tagging these. But I'll pull up a real game for you here in just a second. So there's all the information. Here's the rim map. There's nothing under hoop 2 because remember in the beginning I only said we only have 1 hoop. So we're in most of your cases you'll have 2 hoops and be able to track both ends. So here's kind of an offensive box score. You see the field goals, free throws, and the 3-point shots. What I'm going to do is go out of this. I just want to show you this is the data that we just covered on the call, but I'm going to go in here and just look at an actual game. This is when we first started using the app last December at a tournament for testing purposes. But I'm going to go in and look at maybe this one here. So here's this is a JV game. I think this is up in Michigan. And what you see here is, here's the shot chart for this particular team. Here's the shot chart for the opposing team. Obviously, boy, you look at this rim map. You guys already know about the rim map, but center to deep in the basket's where you want to be. That's where the ball scores. Team right here had a pretty tough day. And if we go down and look here, they were 15 out of 48 from the field, where this team was 29. So they basically made about twice as many buckets, 29 for 53. So you can see that very clearly. You can scroll over if you only want to look at, hey, let me just look at my makes. You can see I can deselect that. Kind of interesting. We see this a lot at the high school level. All these shots, notice in the right half of the court. So many right-handed kids. Not a lot of shots over here. There was one we looked at that almost every shot was over there. I can also hover. So if I hover over that shot, that was shot by number 2. It had a 55-degree arc, had a depth of 14 inches, and it was 14 inches to the left. Okay, so I can go and I can hover over any of these and see exactly why that shot missed. Okay, and then of course I can do it here by player, and you can see it gives me a rim map. And it also lists, if I selected that player, it lists all the shots. Here's a classic example of a player that shoots too high: 50, 53, 53, 55. Just a very difficult shot to control, as those of you that have seen our Science of Shooting presentation know. So it gives you the ability. You will also sometimes notice some shots in here. We may find one quickly. Yeah, here's one. So you see one that's got all zeros, arc, depth, and left, right. What that is that's typically your layups, a shot that there's really just not enough data points for us to say, we know, hey, there was a shot attempt. We know if it scored or it didn't score, but we don't really know. There's just not enough meaningful data to determine the arc was this. And honestly, if we had arc data on a 2-foot shot, it really wouldn't be that meaningful. So, so if you see the zeros, that's what that's from. Also, you can generate a report. This is a great report for printing. Notice this print button over here on the right side. If I click that, it generates a report for the game. for the team and for each individual player. So here's BFC Junior Varsity. Their arc for the game was 49 degrees. Their average depth was 12 inches deep. You'll also notice here it says averages are calculated from shots greater than 10 feet. So if it's a 3 or 4 foot shot that has a 55-degree arc, we don't count that in this average here. So it just basically the meaningful length shots, which is the way it should be. So here's each team. Here's your box score: field goal, free throws, and 3-pointers. And then you scroll down. Here's the opposing team. Same thing: field goal, free throw, 3-pointers, their average arc, and so forth. And then there's basically a breakdown by each individual player for the home team and the visiting team. So you can see here this particular player with the arc, just basically gives a list. Here's 48, 45. What you'll see is, when you're trying to diagnose, you'll see a lot of inconsistencies here. You'll see, hey, here's a player that's, and you can see it graphically as well, and where they're getting shots from. So that's, and again, that's already in a format in a PDF. You can save it. You can, if you want to download it and just save them, in a folder with, whatever 2017, 2018 season. You can do that. You can print it. Those type things. So that's a really quick tour of the game app. I think it's fairly straightforward. I would encourage you to get back with us. I'm going to ask you now. I'm going to ask Rick if there's any questions that we need to address as we go through. I see one question here about the administrative part. You can assign. It doesn't have to be someone on your staff. Let's say, for example, you've got a parent. They have to be registered for us to assign someone administrative rights. And I'm going to show you how you can do that real quick. If you go to, I'm just going to log out and see the register an account here. So if you click register an account, anyone can register. And then all you've got to do as a coaching staff, you just got to reach out to us and say, hey, John, Rick, Michael, whoever your sales rep is, Randy, here is the, I need to add this particular email as an administrator to this team and to my facility. And we do that, takes us 30 seconds, we add them, and then when that person logs into the app, they're all set. So I'll show you here. So back, if I go back up here and say I want to log out, this particular login here, if it doesn't have administrative rights for your school and your team, the data is not going to flow like you just saw. So that's the main thing I want to make sure you understand. Give us a call. Give us a call this evening. Give us a call tomorrow, and we'll get to work on getting those admin rights set up for you if they not are already set up. Rick, what else we got?
One of the questions was, the coach says, how do I know if I'm an administrator or not? And so you might show them on the iPad app at the top when you pull down that game scrimmage. That won't show up if they're not an administrator.
That's correct. You go in here. Also, if you're not an administrator, it won't give you the option to do a game or scrimmage. So it's pretty foolproof. If you go in there and you go to that top drawer up there at the top, if you don't have game or scrimmage, you don't have an administrative access. So just keep that in mind. And kind of funny, I just got an email from a coach asking the same thing. You may have saw it pop up on the screen, but yeah, Michael, what that is you're not set up as an administrator. So so just get with us on that, and we'll make sure we get that assigned.
John, I had another, not really a question, but one of the coaches asked if we could make pause the default when they start the game.
Yeah, that's interestingly, I thought the same thing. So that's something, as we make this little change on the numbers, yeah, we've kind of learned to start it when there's no one shooting, but but you can, just so you know, if you do, someone starts it and say a couple of shots get logged before they can pause it, you can still dismiss the shots like we talked about earlier. So it's not just a real easy thing to dismiss. But yeah, that's a good suggestion.
John, another question was, how close do they have to be to the NOAA box?
Don't have to be anywhere near the NOAA box. What you need is good, reliable internet. So that goes to another area I want to address here briefly. Is, let's say you've got all the administrative stuff set up, everything's good, but you're still not getting the shots to flow. So it's one of two things. One is your systems in your gym are not connected to the internet. So in other words, your internet's down at the school. Or secondly, the iPad that you're using is not connected to the internet. So it has nothing to do with the box. It's all about if you've got a better signal, I know how a lot of gyms are, but if you've got a better signal in, the upper corner, go sit in the upper corner and everything will work fine. But yeah, it's all a cloud-based system, so it really relies on the internet. So I've had people that have, sometimes the school internet, may not be as good. You can tether to your phone. It doesn't require a great bandwidth as far as the internet, but it does require a good steady connection because all it's really moving is just some data points. That's a good question, though. Anything else? All right. Well, I hope this is a good start for everyone. Please reach out to us. We want this to, we think this will be a really valuable tool for you. This is as I was showing you from the app, it's all live, and so you've got shot charts at halftime, at the end of the game. You've got rim maps by player. You can go in when a player has a bad night. You can see immediately what the problem was. Were they shooting too high, too flat? Were they left? Were they right? Were they short? All of those type things. And so we'd encourage you to use that. Don't hesitate to reach back out to us if you have any questions as you get started. All right. Not any other questions? We'll go ahead and stop it right here, right on time. Appreciate you guys joining, and let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.